Hello and welcome everybody to 2007. Bigger is still better. How could it not be? So rewind the clock a little bit. We're going to talk a little bit about how we got to this massive state. For starters, in the mid-2000s, 2004, maybe 2003, drivers just started to explode and they started pushing the limits of how big they could make these drivers. And the regulating bodies of golf across the board jumped in and said, all right, let's stop at 460 cc's. And then later on, in the mid-2000s, they said, well, we're going to be flexible on this traditional club head shape. And so all of a sudden these companies were like, so we could make a square driver? Well, why don't we do that? It'll look massive. And so then we get things like this. This is the original, the OG, Sumo Squared. Okay, now this is the second one I've already made a video about. Is that the 5900 or whatever? This is the original first square Nike driver. And to show and emphasize the squareness of it, we're going to put it under a microscope and have a closer look.
Pretty easy to recognize this from the second squared one. There is no number on here. There's no 5800, 5900. It's just SQ Sumo Squared. Super moment of inertia. And then we have SQ with a little circle right here. Nike swoosh. We have the volume 460cc. And this one is 10.5, so the loft will be right here, 10.5. Pretty interesting. Some outlines right here for decoration. I love these two little like rocket blasts coming off the side, like thrusters on a rocket. It's pretty cool looking, in my opinion. Then we have a sticker right here. It says regular for the shaft. As we spin around the skirt, it's very pointy all the way around. Obviously trying to keep it in the volume restrictions, they're going to need to make that pretty thin. And then on the surface here, you can see this is actually recessed. It's cut out to make the crown look like a normal driver. And they did that by graying out the rest of the squareness of it. And then there's a little raised portion right here. And it reminds me of like certain Callaway drivers and other drivers that have kind of a different thing right here in this time period of the mid-2000s. The face is always weird to me because the rest of the driver is square, and I look at this and it's not square. I always expect this to be square, and it isn't. Nice little dots around the sweet spot with grooves on the toe and heel side of it. Very interesting. So nothing on the toe. Crown, very straightforward. No center mark, just the lines. To me, it lines up fine. When we move to the Hosel, this is where it gets interesting. They have these, it looks like they staked it. Like they, took a stake and how you stake certain things to keep them in place. It's like, no, the shaft isn't glued in. It is glued in. Oh, the shaft's not glued in. We staked it mechanically into place. So I love that look. It just gives it an interesting, unique look. Very well thought out, in my opinion. Black ferrule, single silver ring right there. Beautiful. And the shaft is also fun because you get this, on the top portion that you're going to be looking at, you get this like very normal gray, and underneath it's like bright yellow. Look at me. Same with, the sole compared to the crown. So as we move up the two-tone lovely shaft, on the portion that you're not going to see at address, it says SasQuatch, Diamana, Mitsubishi Rayon, Nike Golf Regular Flex, just like the sticker on the head. Exclusively designed for. Beautiful. All right, then this is just my label reminding me what year it came out. Look at the Nike Sumo grip. SQ here, Nike around here. Very good at branding, this Nike company. And then we have, it's kind of hard to see, but there's a Nike little crescent right there. Little kind of swoosh. So big, massive, interesting titanium head. Let's get it out on the range and see what kind of damage we can do.
it's always nice to aggravate engineers. I'm the kind of person that causes engineers to pull their hair out. They're just like, why did you? Because I can snap hook one, slice one, and hit one dead straight in 3 shots. It doesn't matter how far they push the moment of inertia. They could push them out, to Pluto, which is not a planet, and I'd still be like, there goes one left. Pull to that one. So it almost doesn't matter, okay? So looking at this club, huge confidence down at this thing is as big as my face. Huge confidence down at the ball. Just rip it, right? Just hit it as hard as you can. There's no like, oh, I might miss the ball. And if you have missed a ball with one of these, let me know. That I think I have too. At some point in my life, I've missed golf balls with drivers. Now, this sits in my mind. This is my opinion. Okay, everybody's going to have their different opinions. There are some of you that will luckily have gamed this probably for more than 10 years. And if you have, read it in the comments below, because that would be awesome. But for me, I never gamed this. I don't have any fond memories on the course with this. I see this as a collectible. That's right. I know on this channel I focus a lot on what are we going to put in our bag? What are we going to play? I'm not looking for 2007 vintage Nike bags, really. I mean, Nike's a cool brand. I like it, but I think I'd go with some the not square drivers if I were to just pick one. My opinions, you see. So I see this as something that I want to keep. I want to take to the range, and I want to have fun with it. I just want to kind of collect, just want to have it. Just to say this is the first Nike square driver. We say the same thing for the Callaway, So to me, that's where I see this. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Is this something you want to put in a bag, or is it something you just kind of want to have? Because it's cool. I love this big, massive tray. It's just so interesting. It's an interesting conversation point. It's interesting at the range. It's an interesting club. Whatever people talk about the dynamics of the club, which I think would be fine. Once you get used to it, I imagine this would be a fine driver. So, with that said, if you want to support this channel, you can support me on Patreon. Always like to give, for those patrons that would like, credit to my patrons. Thank you so much for your support. You can also support this channel in my Amazon shop. I'll put a link in the description below. I am an Amazon associate. I make proceeds from qualifying purchases. Thank you so much for watching. I am the Vintage Golfer.